All right then, I'm going to talk about the Goodwater project. So some of you guys have heard about it. I've been in the bottled water industry for 10 years now, right? Love bottled water. Most people are 70% bottled water. I'm actually about 80. I don't know why, but there you go. Something's happening now. We might be lucky, you guys. And I started out working in hospitality, and I was actually working in a club on K Road. And one night, this is back in 1997, we started selling more water than beer. And every weekend we started selling more water than beer. And the only complaint we ever had from our customers was, why am I paying $5? Believe it or not, they paid $5 back in '97 at a K Road nightclub for a bottle of water, right? Why am I paying $5 for this bottle when I can go down to the corner store and buy exactly the same bottle for $2? So we had the entrepreneurial vision, one very sober night, of doing our own brand of water specifically for that venue, still charging the $5 for it, but then you wouldn't have that price resistance because you couldn't get it at the corner store. Right? That was our strategy. It was a bit of a laugh. And we did it. We did this product called Holy Water, and the club was called Sinners. Right? And you could buy Holy Water at Sinners, and it was a really big hit. And we sold a lot of Holy Water. They happily paid the $5. It was almost like a sort of a collector's item or a point of difference, something unique. And that's how I got into the water industry. And then other people started asking if they could have it for their clubs. And I thought, this is good. And then they started selling it, and then we started getting more and more clubs and bars. The problem with clubs and bars, though, guys, just so you know, is that they're really bad at paying their bills. So half of the clubs and bars wouldn't pay on time, and half of those would never pay. And if you work on a sort of 20-30% margin, you're kind of like not making any money, right? So we decided we needed to get into hotels and stuff like that. But when we went to the hotels, we went to the Carlton Hotel in Auckland, the best of the best at the time, and said, look, we need to do an upgrade of your water here and put some holy water in. And they kind of liked the idea because they had this Evian, right, this imported French product. They liked the idea, but they didn't really like the brand. And they said, could we do a Carlton water for them? And I thought, oh, that's a good idea. You mean with your own logo? And they said, yeah. And no one else was doing it in New Zealand. This is 1998. So we went away, we got our designer to design a label with their name on it. Put that on the bottle, went and presented it to them, and they said, fantastic, we'll do it. And we started supplying the Carlton. We supplied them for like 8 years, actually. It was a really good account. And that's how and then we started a company called Corporate Water Brands, just doing custom branded, private label bottled water. So people were using it as a promotional tool. Pretty cool, eh? And we did that for years and years. And then, about 4 years ago, to my horror, I found out that none of the bottles that we were putting out for recycling were actually getting recycled. I don't know if you guys diligently recycle like I used to, and still do mostly. You put them in the blue bin, you put it out in the curbside collection. Do you have that in Hamilton? Yeah. You must do, eh? I found out that none of the bottles that were putting out for recycling were actually getting recycled. And I found this out through a documentary that was shown in the UK, right? And what was actually happening was that all the bottles we were putting out were getting baled up and sent over to China, mostly China, some to the Philippines. And the Chinese were burning some for energy. That's the worst thing they do with it, right? Because it's made from oil. And the best thing they did was they turned it into like a fleece or a flag or something and exported it out. But it wasn't recycling, it was downcycling, and ultimately that product or that plastic toy would end up in landfill anyway. So I was mortally wounded at the time, and that was the catalyst for the Goodwater project. So now you've had the ultimate presentation, haven't you? Gee, we've done well. I want to give you a perspective on this issue that we're looking at, right? This video here was taken in April this year, in a very famous river somewhere in Europe, right? Anyone want to take a guess whereabouts in Europe it was? Surprise. Okay. It was Rome. It was the Tiber River, most beautiful river, right? But it was sadly, unfortunately, polluted with these plastic bottles that were caught in this backwash, right? The thing was, the plastic bottles will eventually get out of that backwash and they'll go out to the ocean, and then what happens to them? It's pretty unsightly. 20, 30 years ago, you would not have seen that sort of issue in the birthplace of modern civilization. And then look at this image here, taken a little bit earlier. Anyone want to take a guess where that was taken? Again, there's bigger prize this time.
Mount Maunganui.
Not bad. Anyone else?
Blackwood?
Sorry?
Blackwood?
No.
Waihe.
No.
Brighton.
No. Alright, sorry, prize remains there. It was taken pretty much the opposite side of the planet. Yeah. Right? On that beach, deserted island, no one lives there. This is the northern island group called Vava'u Island in Tonga, the Kingdom of Tonga. It's about as remote as you can be on the planet without leaving the planet. And it's about opposite Rome. So the issue that we're talking about is these plastic bottles that never break down in the marine environment are everywhere, insidiously affecting our life and causing untold corruption and devastation in the marine environment in particular. I'll talk more about that in a minute. So that's a global perspective. Here in New Zealand, a local perspective, right? These are the figures, the latest figures showing what's actually happening with recycling, as we know it, and you guys now know what that means, right? And you'll see that we're only actually recycling about 22% of all the total packaging, plastic packaging, and of that, almost half of it, say 48%, fairly consistently over the last 5 years at least, right, is actually going in that blue bin system. So that's about 14,000 tonnes of plastic bottles being baled up and exported overseas, and another 14,000 tonnes going to landfill every year that will never ever break down. They'll always be there, forever. Out of sight, out of mind, though, eh? Pretty devastating, really. This is a photograph of like half a day's collection in Onehunga. Like these trucks just come in and they just tip up. All these plastic bottles come in, and another truck comes in. All these plastic bottles. And if you have a look at them closely, you'll see they're not just local bottles; they're actually imported bottles as well. And when you think about the journey of an imported bottle, then it starts to get really freaky because you realise, and take this one for example. Naive spelled backwards, right? Evian. This bottle was manufactured in France, other side of the planet. Went to a factory, was filled, truck, port, boat, sailed all the way around the planet. Little old New Zealand. Was sold as a premium product at a premium price when it was inferior to local alternatives. That's good marketing, right? Consumed by a trendsetter who thought that it was cool to drink Naive, who diligently put it out for recycling because they care, and then it gets collected, bailed up, put on a ship, and sent to China. So that bottle actually goes around the world 1.5 times. Whew. And then what happens? Well, at best, it gets turned into maybe a flag or something like that, which will end up in landfill. Anyway, that was the inspiration, I suppose, for the Good Water Project. And why water? Well, because water has enjoyed the most phenomenal growth trend of any beverage in the history of non-alcoholic beverages in New Zealand. Pretty much over the last 10 years, it's enjoyed double-digit growth in volume and value. It's quite phenomenal. I'll just mitigate that statement by also saying that New Zealanders don't consume much bottled water by global standards. We're about 17 litres per person per annum. Europe's about 150. Dubai's about 222, just to give you a perspective. Aussie's about 78. But this category has enjoyed phenomenal growth, and everybody will drink water.